You're watching Cox Connections, only on Cox Nova. With its nonpartisan focus on trust, civility, and respect, the Sorensen Institute has been restoring public confidence in our politicians and system of government, one graduate at a time. Now, with over 1,500 graduates, they stand as a model for leadership training programs for the nation. Joining us today to tell us more about their programs are Bob Gibson, Executive Director of the Sorensen Institute, and Ann Harbour of Inova Health Systems, a 2012 graduate of the Political Leaders Program. Bob and Ann, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And full disclosure, I'm also a graduate of yours, Bob, in the Political Leaders Program. It's a fabulous program. But Bob, give our viewers an overview of the Sorensen Institute.
Well, we are a 23-year-old organization that operates out of the University of Virginia, but we really operate all across Virginia. And we do this in a 12-month program that goes from the beginning of the year until December when we graduate at the University of Virginia. But the program takes equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans and puts them in a program together where they learn to understand each other, where their differences are, where their common views might coincide. And they learn to work together on policy, and where they can and where they can't work together on policy. And after 10 months of traveling around the state together, these folks generally like each other and understand each other better. So it's a program that operates all across Virginia. We have a candidate training program that also takes roughly equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans and some independents and teaches them how to run and win an ethical campaign. And our mission is to improve governance at all levels of government in Virginia, local, state, and federal.
That's great. And what was the impetus for founding the Sorensen Institute?
Well, two Charlottesville leaders got together and decided that politics was getting too one-sided. It would be leaning one way or the other, and the two sides couldn't get along with each other. So they created a program in which the two sides are brought together and talk about public policy together and start to understand how Virginia is different in its 10 different regions and how they can work together to help solve problems in each of those regions.
That's great. Ann, you were a 2012 class president for the Political Leaders Program. Tell us about your experience. It was a year-long program, right?
It was a year of traveling the Commonwealth with people from representing each community in the Commonwealth, and it was a great opportunity for a non-native Virginian to really understand the communities and what goes on and influences the politics that bring each region to Richmond and advancing efforts within the Commonwealth to make Virginia a great place to live and work.
And how many people were in your class?
I had 34 classmates. We had fair representation from across the Commonwealth, from South Side, far Southwest, Northern Virginia, Richmond, and Tidewater. So you really got a nice perspective of what drives Hampton Roads versus what drives Bristol, Virginia, and really coming together to talk about those issues together in a very engaging environment.
And through the program, each month you go to a different location for a couple of days, and when you're there, do you study the issues of that area?
Absolutely. That's one of the greatest parts of Sorensen is that you get somebody from the community who knows the region. So when we were in Northern Virginia, we had the opportunity to hear about the legislative process at the federal level, having representatives from Sorensen classes prior to ours talk about their service in the federal government. When we were down in Hampton Roads, we had the opportunity to see how the ports worked. In far Southwest, in Bristol, we went to a coal mine and experienced for the first time what a coal mine was like, seeing what the community looks like. And then each region has some kind of flair that's just a little bit different from the other, and you get a first-hand experience with the community there and your classmates to develop an understanding of what goes on.
Great. And Bob, tell us about the other programs you mentioned, the candidate training program. That actually trains candidates to run for office, right?
We train them in how to run an ethical campaign and win. So they decide what lines they will not cross during a campaign, what lines they consider out of bounds for campaigning for themselves. And they learn all the skills of campaigning from professionals in both parties. So it's interesting to see Democrats and Republicans learning these things together because they have to govern together when they are elected. So it teaches them not only how to win, but how to get along with the other side and work with the other side. And then we have three other programs for youth across Virginia. We have a high school leaders program that meets every July in Charlottesville, and a college leaders program that meets every June in Charlottesville, and then an emerging leaders program for the tail end of the summer where we have folks within 10 years of their graduation from college who work in policy jobs at the state or local level. And they learn to craft policy for the Virginia General Assembly. We divide them into policy groups, and they actually craft bills to be submitted in the General Assembly.
That's great. And how do people find out about the programs and how to register or apply for them?
Absolutely. And you can visit our website, the SorensenInstitute.org. There's also the opportunity to meet with alumni and staff throughout the Commonwealth at recruiting receptions. And there's a huge alumni network, as you had mentioned earlier before, that will reach out to the community to make sure that people are hearing about our programs and giving people the opportunity to learn more and then come in and learn firsthand with the alumni and then meet with the staff as well.
And the meeting with the alumni is great because it is a competitive application and lots of applications and then interview panels but all to get the best people for this class.
Exactly.
Bob, how is the Sorensen Institute funded? Is there state funding for this, or do you do it all on your own?
We have to raise all our own money. We are housed at the University of Virginia, which is very nice to be at UVA in Charlottesville. But we really operate across the state, and we really raise our money from a myriad of different sources around Virginia. We have corporate donors, we have individual donors. We put on 2 galas a year that are great programs, one in Arlington and one in Richmond. The Arlington Gala is in the fall, usually mid-November. The Spring Gala around April, mid-April in Richmond. And we bring 300 or 400 business leaders and community leaders together for these galas. The Arlington Gala this year is about war powers and features Tim Kaine and Phil Zellico. And the Spring Gala may be about women in leadership.
And in the past, you've had governors, all of the recent governors, you've had elected officials, the speaker, all sorts of interesting speakers.
We get to celebrate the folks who work in government at every level. So we have 125 of our graduates who have gone through the program and serve in local government, and 25 who serve in the General Assembly.
That's terrific. How can our viewers learn more about the Sorensen Institute and the great work you're doing?
Well, we'd love for folks to visit us online. We're at www.sorenseninstitute.org, and Sorensen is S-O-R-E-N-S-E-N. And we have everything, including how to apply for a program online. So we describe all 5 of our programs, and we talk about how you can learn more about getting involved in your community and getting involved in politics.
Terrific. Bob and Ann, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And stay tuned, we have more Cox Connections after the break.